myself as, I would stop doing drag, which wasn't anything to do with my gender or sexuality. It was about theater and art and performance. I didn't relate it to gender-specific anything or sexuality. And I think we need to impress that on, especially kids. They need to be aware that just because you're having a funny feeling about who you might be or what you were or you're not sure, that's good. That means you're alive and you're questioning who you are, not just what someone else tells you you are. And there shouldn't be any boundaries when it comes to creativity, which is really what drag is. I mean, you get a concept, you come up, you invent a character, albeit for that one brief evening, and you work the hell out of it, and then you can decide if you want to go back to that character later and build on it, or you just keep creating different characters every time. That's really what drag is. It has nothing to do with your gender identity, or your sexuality, or your gender. Just saying. So the book I'm going to open tonight with is called Under the Skin. I read it probably 15 or 20 years ago. It's a paperback, and I don't usually keep paperbacks, but it was so good for me at the time, because I was losing post-operative female friends hand over fist. They were killing themselves at an alarming rate, because after all the surgeries and after all of the production that went into them becoming who they thought they were, they realized that it was not living up to what they had anticipated. And they felt their only option was to just give up, which honestly, I cannot believe I'm one of the few remaining. It shocks me. I would have thought I'd be the first. They found her swinging from Lion's Grave. Like those kids. That's just a joke. It's among chimpanzees or something. Swinging. Jungle Jim. Yes. Anyway, so this book, and it's a really good book. They did a movie apparently of it in about 2012, somebody was telling me. And Charlize Theron, who I love anyway, but I haven't seen the movie. I'm only going to read excerpts of it because this is a story about a female who goes to extremes, surgery-wise, psychological-wise, emotional-wise, to be able to pass as a female human on this planet. Because on her planet, she is a female, but they don't look anything like us. So she's had to have all of these surgeries to try to pass. And for those of you who don't know, that is a term from the archaic days when that was the ultimate goal. Before there was trans men or trans women, and there were just men and women, you transitioned to attain that goal. The in-between phase wasn't what you focused on. You wanted to be passable. You didn't want somebody to be able to read you. She's tying it all in together somehow. I don't drink, so I'm not drunk. So I may be skipping around a little bit, so I hope you stay with me. It's called, Michael Faber is the author, and it's called Under the Skin. Oh, sort of caught my lashes on my glasses. Oh, the light is yellow. Of course, I've highlighted things in yellow. It was tempting to imagine a beautiful face hidden behind that hair. A face like a pop singer or an actress. But he knew different. In fact, when she turned towards him, her face had kind of shocked him. It was small and heart-shaped, like an elf in a kiddie's book, with a perfect little nose and a fantastic, big-lipped, curvy mouth like a supermodel. But she had puffy-cheeked and was also wearing the thickest glasses he'd seen in his life. They magnified her eyes so much they looked about twice normal size. She wore the thickest corrective lenses he had ever seen. Her posture was, in his opinion, suggestive of some spinal problem. Her hands were large, and yet unusually narrow. Her magnified eyes were a little bloodshot with tiredness, but startlingly beautiful in his opinion. The irises were hazel and green, glowing like illuminated microscope slides of some exotic bacterial culture. Cool. She possessed only one pair of shoes, a custom-made pair which she had to return to the shoemaker 8 times before she could walk in them. She did not wear underwear or a bra. Her breasts stayed up by themselves, one less problem to worry about, or 2. It didn't help that they looked so different from her and stared at her breasts and her chiseled face whenever they thought she couldn't see. She was taking a risk in baring her feet to the world, but in the unlikely event that anyone else were to stray onto the beach, she'd see them coming from hundreds of meters or more. By the time they were close enough to see her feet, she could easily retrieve her shoes or even wade into the water if need be. In fact, whenever she found herself grieving over what had been done to her once beautiful body, in order for her to be sent here, she reminded herself what people who lived in the new estates for any length of time looked like. Decay and disfigurement were obviously par for the course down there, but there was an unmistakable ugliness about estate trash, an almost subhuman taint. No doubt everybody vowed at first they wouldn't allow themselves to be transformed into a beast with hunched back, scarred flesh, crumbling teeth, missing fingers, cropped hair. But that's how they all ended up, didn't they? Would she have been any different if she'd gone there rather than here? Of course not. And now, the way things had turned out, she didn't look any worse now than the worst estate trash, did she? Or not much worse anyway. And look what she got in exchange. She had been working her guts out in a moisture filtration plant or an oxygen factory, toiling in filth like a maggot among other maggots. Instead, here she was, free to wander in an unbounded wilderness, swirling with awesome surpluses of air and water. And all she had to do in return, when it came right down to essentials, was walk on 2 legs. She washed her hair carefully, rinsing it over and over. Her hair had always been her best feature back home. A member of the elite had once told her that with hair like hers, it was out of the question she could possibly be destined for the new estates, a cheap and fatuous compliment in retrospect, but thrillingly encouraging at the time. She felt as if her passage into a bright future was a matter of physical inevitability. A lush and glossy birthright everyone could see at a glance, and a lucky few could stroke admiringly, sorry. So little of it was left now that she couldn't bear to cherish it anymore. Most of it would never grow back again. The rest was just a nuisance. This little sliver of face, poorly illuminated, was the only bit she could look at nowadays without self-loathing. The only bit which had been left alone. They might just let themselves in then, come up to her bedroom and have a good look at the denuded freak, the gargoyle girl, snoring on a pallet. And wouldn't he just love to see what the surgeons had done to her below the waist? Well, he could go fuck himself. Like their ears over there in the corner. Outside, a screech owl began its performance of wails and shrieks, one calm and unruffled bird, sounding deceptively like a horde of much larger creatures in terror and agony. Serenaded thusly, Iserly fell asleep. Like all of Iserly's race, except Iserly and Eswis, of course, She stood naked on all fours. He stood naked on all fours. His limbs exactly equal in length, all of them equally nimble. He also had a prehensile tail, which, if he needed his front hands free, he could use as another limb to balance on, tripod style. His breast tapered seamlessly into a long neck, on which his head was positioned like a trophy. It came to 3 points: his long spearhead ears and his vulpine snout. His large eyes were perfectly round, positioned on the front of his face, which was covered in soft fur like the rest of his body. Her spine would never let her get away with it. You couldn't expect to be able to lie down on an unyielding surface and curl snugly into yourself when you had half your backbone amputated and metal pins inserted into what was left. Inescapably, there was a price to be paid for sitting upright at the wheel of a motor car. Oh yes. She didn't know why she should need to see her limbs in order to exercise them, but she did. It was as if, in too profound a darkness, she could not be sure what sort of creature she was. She needed to verify what remained of her body. More awake now, she remembered something she should have known from the beginning, which was that there was no point trying to orient yourself to reality with television. It only made things worse. And that's where I'm going to stop. Do we have any questions? Or comments? You can take out your 50-50 tickets. Sorry. Oh, it's called Under the Skin by Michael Faber. If you want, I'll loan it to you. I want it back, though. I want it back. It's a loan. It's worth Googling. It's worth picking up. Like I said, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know how true to the book it is, but when Dane Tank told me that there was a movie and that she'd seen it and it was pretty damn good, I was, impressed. I hadn't seen it, or I knew they were talking about making one, but I didn't know it had been done yet. And there are some horrific parallels in this book between off-world aliens trying to adapt to the human civilized Earth, and I use the term civilized only in the sense of populated. Not trying to assign more credit than has been earned. Anything from anyone? Sorry, what? Yes, a different type of reading. Yes, absolutely. So, if there are no questions or answers or winning lottery numbers, I will have you up to Candy, and she will introduce you to the next reader. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olie. So, what are these? These are drag queen coloring sheets, and they are available at the door if you didn't pick yours up. We also have some crayons here, so please feel free to color away tonight. And I'm going to introduce the next drag queen. You may have seen her before. Her name is Carmilla Barr. She is Vancouver's chocolate queen. She's very bubbly and everyone's sassy chocolate friend. That's what she wrote. She wrote this. I did not write this. I'm just saying. So, since she's made of chocolate, this makes her perpetually sweet. Is actually very sweet. Tonight is an evening of getting lost in literature with you, all her little sweethearts. Please welcome Carmilla.
I just now realized how self-indulgent that little bio is. Sorry. I'm not going to be sitting down because this dress is a little short and I'm not going to put you through that. So, Yeah, right. I could have done like the cross, but I'm not that classy. It's Thank you. Round of applause for the light and sound crew. All right. So the book I chose to talk about read, not talk about. It's called The Boy in the Dress by David Williams and illustrated by Quentin Blake. It's a really cute story that I actually read because I'm studying to be a teacher and I took a children's literature course. Expect that, thank you. But yeah, so I took a children's literature course, and this was one of the required readings, and we had to do a response on it, and it was just something not only by the title that made me really interested by it as a drag performer, but I also felt that it was just really well written. I'm just going to read the first chapter. I'm going to give you a little warning. It's pretty dark, like not super dark, but I'm purposely doing it at the adult reading just because there's a lot of things that I feel like you need to sort of unpack as sort of a parent or a mentor to kids. So yeah. So The Boy in the Dress by David Williams. Chapter 1, No Hugging. Dennis was different. When he looked in the mirror, he saw an ordinary 12-year-old boy. But he felt different. His thoughts were full of color and poetry, though his life could be very boring. The story I'm going to tell you begins here in Dennis's ordinary house, on an ordinary street in an ordinary town. His house was nearly exactly the same as all the others in the street. One house had double glazing, another did not. One had a gravel drive, another had crazy paving. One had a Vauxhall Cavalier in the drive, and another had a Vauxhall Astra. Tiny differences that only really pointed out the sameness of everything. Is volume okay? Yeah, cool. It was also ordinary. Something extraordinary just had to happen. Dennis lived with his dad, who did not have a name, but Dennis just called him Dad, so I will too. And his older brother John, who was 14. Dennis found it frustrating that his brother would always be 2 years older than him, and bigger and stronger. Dennis's mom had left home a couple of years ago. Before that, Dennis used to creep out of his room and sit at the top of the stairs and listen to his mom and dad shout at each other until one day the shouting stopped. She was gone. Dad banned John and Dennis from ever mentioning Mom again, and soon after she left, he ran around the house and took down all the photographs of her and burnt them in a big bonfire. But Dennis managed to save one. One solitary photograph escaped the flames, dancing up into the air from the heat of the fire before floating through the smoke and onto the hedge. As dusk fell, Dennis snuck out of and retrieved the photo. It was charred and blackened around the edges, and at first his heart sank. But when he turned it to the light, he saw that the image was as bright and clear as ever. It showed a joyful scene, a young John and Dennis with his mom at the beach. Mom wearing a lovely yellow dress with flowers on it, and Dennis loved that dress. It was full of color and life and soft to the touch. When Mom put it on, it meant that summer had finally arrived. It had been warm outside after she had left, but it hadn't really been summer in their house again. In the picture, Dennis and his brother were in swimming trunks holding ice cream cones. Vanilla ice cream smeared all around their smiling mouths. Dennis kept the photo in his pocket and looked at it secretly every day. His mom looked so achingly beautiful in it, even though her smile was uncertain. Dennis stared at it for hours on end, trying to imagine what she had been thinking about when it was taken. After Mom left, Dad didn't say much, but when he did, he would often shout. So Dennis ended up watching a lot of television, and especially his favorite show, Trisha. Dennis had seen a Trisha episode about people with depression and thought maybe that his dad had that. Dennis loved Trisha. It was a daytime talk show where ordinary people were given the opportunity to talk about their problems or yell abuse at their relatives, and it was all presided over a kindly-looking but judgmental woman conveniently called Trisha. Right? Sassy book, right? For a while, Dennis, there's lots of sort of I don't know how to explain it. Just like little words that it's actually a British author. So you're like, oh, this is taking place in England. Haha. So it's really sort of sassy and sarcastic. I figured that out. Research. For a while, Dennis thought life without his mom would be some kind of adventure. He'd stay up late and eat takeaways and watch rude comedy shows. However, as the days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months, and the months turned into years, he realized that it wasn't an adventure at all. It was all just sad. Dennis and John sort of loved each other in a way that they had to because they were brothers. But John tested this love quite often by doing things he thought were funny, like sitting on Dennis's face and farting. Like, what? See, lots of things to talk about and think about before you read this to a child. What happens? If farting had been an Olympic sport, at the time of writing this, I am told it isn't, which I feel is a shame. He would have won a number of gold medals and probably received a knighthood from the Queen. England. Now, reader, you might be thinking that as their mom had left, the two brothers would be brought closer together. Sadly, it only drove them apart. Unlike Dennis, John was full of silent rage with his mom for leaving and agreed with Dad that it was better never to mention her again. It was one of the rules of the house. No talking about mom, no crying, and worst of all, no hugging. Dennis, on the other hand, was just full of sadness. Sometimes he missed his mom so much that he cried in his bed at night. He tried to cry as quietly as possible because he and his brother shared a room, and he didn't want John to hear. But one night, Dennis's sobs woke John up. Dennis, what are you crying for now? Demanded John from his bed. I don't know, I just wish that Mom was here and everything, came the reply from Dennis. Well, don't cry, she's gone and she's not coming back. You don't know that. She's never coming back, Dennis. Now stop crying, only girls cry. But Dennis couldn't stop crying. The pain ached and flowed inside him just like the sea crashing down on him, almost drowning him with tears. He didn't want to upset his brother, so he cried quietly and as he possibly could. So why is Dennis so different, I hear you ask? After all, this boy lived in an ordinary house, in an ordinary street, in an ordinary town. Well, I'm not going to tell you why just yet, but the clue might be in the title of this very book. So, that's where I'm going to stop. But yeah, does anyone have any questions for me? What's that? What's the name of the book again? Great question. The Boy in the Dress by David Williams. If you want to take a picture of the cover, you can do that. All right. Candy, back to you, my dear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carmela. Okay, and to end up the first half of the show, tonight we have Amy Grindhouse. Amy Grindhouse is a kooky comedian with a lack of self-awareness. Born and raised in Squamish, she brings small-town charm to the city with her strange sense of style and offbeat sense of humor. Something like that, yeah. She loves to travel, or no, as I say, she loves to travel. Why did I do that? She's not going anywhere tonight. She loves to read, duh. But reading to others, she loves to read, but reading to others is so much more fun. Please welcome Amy.
Thank you all so much. I'm just gonna sit down because I don't want to stand anymore. Here we go. How are we doing tonight? Are we good? You can do better than that. How are we doing tonight? Air horns. Anyway, so I have something a little bit more explicit coming for you in the second half. I want to dive a little bit into some erotica, but I thought we should. I thought we should start with some foreplay since we have some unexpected visitors. So the book I'll be reading is from a YouTuber, actually. Now, most YouTubers make terrible authors, and that's why I chose it. So, this actually was pretty funny. Does anyone know Mamrie Hart from You Deserve a Drink? She wrote a book. I'm gonna read it now. So, the reason I picked it is because of this one chapter. Because when I was growing up in Squamish, one of the things we didn't really have was clubs. And I always wanted to be a part of a club, like a sewing club, singing club. There just wasn't enough people to make one. And this one is about a club that Mamrie made in college. So, there you go. Let's get into this, okay? This chapter is called Topless Tuesday. When I was little, I was absolutely obsessed with the idea of clubs. I wanted secret handshakes and special badges and meetings in tree houses. I imagined myself calling the meetings to order with a hammer for a gavel and everyone cheering when I proclaimed that we'd be spending our dues on a pizza party. Despite my visions of grandeur and breadsticks, my attempts to organize clubs never really panned out. Okay, fine, they were a disaster. I started a cooking club, Club Sandwich, but it went up in flames when the members said they didn't want to do the dishes. Next, I started a fashion club, the So Cool Club. One puffy pink sweatshirt in, and that was kaput. I then started a mystery solving club, but there was a severe shortage of mysteries around town. By week 3, I had to fake that my mom's expensive necklace had gone missing and that we'd been chosen to crack the case. While I dusted the banister for fingerprints with baby powder, the other 2 members of the mystery club played Sonic the Hedgehog on my Sega. Later that day, my mom found her necklace in a laundry basket and was pissed. In my defense, I was able to crack the case. It was me. The closest I ever got to being part of an organized club was a card-carrying member of Pizza Hut's Book It program, in which kids got free pizzas for reading books. The greatest part about this reward system was that there was no way for them to regulate it. Technically, you could walk in there, point to the teenage cook, and be like, Reggie, why don't you take 5 and ice and give me that pizza? Because I read 800 books this week, and I plan on treating my entire town to personal pans, buddy. Comedy. Not that I would ever have the balls to do that. I was a total goody two-shoes, and I wouldn't have wanted to lie and get free personal pans. I could have single-handedly shut down that hub with the amount of books I was reading. There was one book series in particular that I was crazy about, The Babysitter's Club. As someone who now skips parties to stay in and watch Shark Tank, I can tell you that the concept of a club that also generated profit made by little Mamrie's mind go nuts. But my dreams of running my own BSC and getting a private landline in my room for meetings were squashed instantly when I didn't get a single call my first week. In the South, people don't really call sitters. They just drop the kids off of their closest relatives. Closest being distance-wise, not relationship-wise. There wasn't any of this pay someone $8 an hour mumbo-jumbo. It was just drop her off at Granny Beau's house. Granny's so senile she thought kitty litter was grape nuts last week. She'll be fine for a few hours. By the end of 5th grade, I'd failed more clubs than Miami in the late 90s. Get it? Cocaine. Little did I know that it wouldn't be till a decade later that I would finally found a club that would not only succeed, it would flourish. And like most things in college, it involved 2 B's, boobs and booze. It began as a normal Tuesday in the fall of my senior year. This particular day, my friend Melissa and I were drinking bourbon on the rocks and smoking cognac-dipped cigarillos. Melissa and I didn't consider ourselves best friends so much as hetero life partners, or HLPs. Allow me to explain. It's a proven fact that women live longer than men, so we promised that when our significant others died, we'd move in with each other for our last few years, Golden Girls style, and really whip it up. Anyways, Melissa, who is now a successful costume designer, is still my HLP, and who was teaching me how to silkscreen. Sounds like a pretty normal Tuesday, right? The only difference is that we were doing all of it topless. Why topless, you ask? I think it started because we were working with paint and didn't want to stain our shirts. I am the queen of staining shirts. If I could legally be topless wherever I wanted to, it would save dozens and dozens of Forever 21 gloves casualties every year. But the real reason we were topless was because Melissa is the least modest person I know. She makes Miley Cyrus look like an Amish girl who's not interested in Ruma Spring. It's a hard word, okay? And with good reason. I'm almost certain that the song Defying Gravity from Wicked was inspired by her tits. And while I don't go around topless at the drop of a hat, I'm not self-conscious either. Growing up doing dance competitions and recital, you had to change costumes in front of a room full of other girls. I'm not saying that I would go spread eagle in a tutu or anything, but we were a couple of friends with our shirts off, and it wasn't sexual, it was convenient. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Funny, actually, after I started reading this book, and this was in grade 12, me and friends actually, we made a bath club where we'd all take a bath. It was true. We would take a bath, 4 of us would cram in a bathtub and try and like talk about life and stuff. It was really cramped, but it was great because everyone got over like, what's nice about doing that is like any kind of like weird body issues you have in high school is a great way to like start getting over it. Because it's like, no one cares. Your friend Judy doesn't care that you have like a little sag here or a little bit of hair patch on your elbows or whatever. Like, no one cares. No one cares. Does anyone have any questions? No? It's called You Deserve a Drink. Boozy Misadventures in Tales of Debauchery by Mamrie Hart. I recommend it. It's a good time. And I'll be back later with the real deal. So stay tuned.
Thank you so much, Amy. We're going to take a little bit of a break, so 15 minutes, and I'm going to come back later and tell you some really bad kids' jokes, or maybe good kids' jokes. I have to test it out with you guys and see, because we're doing this again for kids. So take 15 minutes, go pee, grab some food, and hurry back before someone steals your seat. And we still have lots of coloring sheets available at the front, so feel free to grab some crayons. If you run out of crayons, we've got some more. So see you in 15.